Well, hello again. Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. Today is an absolutely perfect day here in upstate New York. 72 degrees, very sunny as you can see. And I'm down here today by the Mohawk River, one of my favorite spots to go to. Only trouble is every once in a while is a train that passes by. One is actually going by right now. But anyway, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful spot, and I'm glad that we could be together. Today I want to talk to you about observations and interpretations. So, take out our sheet here, got my Bible, and this is principle number 4 on our sheet. Now, reminding all the new subscribers to go to the website, put in my name, Pastor Ray Barnett, Time for Truth Ministries, go over to the mental health tab and download this sheet. You'll see it, 12 principles of renewed. All right. And this is what we're using for our syllabus. Now, we have already gone over just a few broadcasts ago this principle, which is number 4 on your sheet, which says, my thoughts are not greater than God's truths. And the verse that goes with it is 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5, which says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Now, like I said, we just had this same principle a few broadcasts ago, 2 or 3. We, and this means everybody on the planet, we all make observations. So from the little you can see of the area I'm in right now, you're making an observation. Obviously there's water and trees and grass, right? There's a whole lot more around here, and you can observe it. You could observe me. And then in this particular case, it's not very difficult to make an interpretation of your observation. You see trees, you see water, grass, myself, and, well, the average individual is going to observe this as rather ordinary, somewhat mundane, beautiful nature, but nothing above average. So from an observation, your mind has done a quick calculation. Your brain has done a very quick calculation that it's just a nice little spot, of which, again, you could only say a little bit of it. Nothing much to brag about, not much to talk about there. You observed, you made an interpretation, and in this case, no doubt, you did it in microseconds. The average commercial computer does 2 billion computations per second, 2 gigabytes. That's the speed of most processors now. 2 gigabytes is about 2 billion computations per second. It's quite a lot. So your brain has just done the observing and the interpretation on a simple setting like this very, very quickly. Okay, observations and interpretations. But when it comes to your symptoms, what you're feeling, what in your body with regard to these nervous symptoms, that's where the difficulty begins. Okay, so yeah, I'll give you an example from my own life. Now, some of you already know I had open heart surgery 15 years it's been already. In 2 weeks it'll be 15 years. And I never had ever one cardiac symptom. No chest pains, was never out of breath. I'm in the gym 6 days a week and so on. Anyway, it was discovered on an ultrasound, routine ultrasound. It was observed. And listen, the interpretation was made not by me, but by a cardiologist who said, this is what we're seeing. Your left anterior descending artery had some major blockages in it, and you're going to need bypass surgery. Okay, an observation was made on my physical heart by a competent medical professional, in this case, my cardiologist, and the interpretation was, you need to have surgery, which I had back in 2008. Again, for him, not as simple as this scene here, the trees, the water, the grass, myself, but once a determination was made by him, an expert in his field, the observation of the blockages, which were there, the interpretation was bypass surgery, and I had the surgery, and that was the end of the story. But the problem arises when you have a sensation in your body and you begin to interpret it, as we discuss frequently, in the or under the umbrella of danger. So what I started to say was this: I am a cardiac patient, yet I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I work out, fairly intensely, and I occasionally get chest pains. Now listen to me carefully. I do have a background in anatomy and physiology. What happens when I get a chest pain laying on my bed at night? Well, the observation is there's a pain there. But then I have to work myself through and realize that, and this happened to me yesterday, I just did 50 consecutive push-ups. Or in fact, I did a bench press and the push-ups on the same day. And both of them were, personal bests or close to personal bests. So I interpreted what I observed, pain in the chest, in terms of safety. And here I am. I'm good. What happens with you, and what either keeps you in or puts you into a panic mode, is the fact that your interpretation of what you're observing, feeling in your body, is interpreted under the umbrella of I'm in danger. People come up with the diagnosis, their own diagnosis. There's got to be a tumor, it must be a brain tumor. I remember talking to one man who was getting forgetful. He was in his mid-70s at the time. And, I thought I had early stage Alzheimer's. And not that these things shouldn't be considered, but once again, you have to go to a competent medical professional to determine if it's the case, what you're thinking is the case. But he was clear to that. Yet it produced an anxiety in him because he was interpreting the absent-mindedness that so many of us have. I'm at the age now what they call the wonder years. I wonder where I put my keys. Sometimes I wonder where I parked my car. But I don't go into emergency mode that, this must be early stage Alzheimer's. This must be a form of dementia. That would be an interpretation, and that's what you must not do. As I always say, competent medical professionals should be checking you out if you have a real concern about chest pains, about lapse of memory, whatever it may be. Once you've been cleared of that and you're either diagnosed with a nervous disorder or, it's just pretty obvious that that's what it has to be, you must always interpret the event going on inside you and outside you as one of safety. Of course, an exception to interpreting an event outside of you would be you're in a bad neighborhood. I grew up in bad neighborhoods. And you see people coming towards you that look like they're going to menace you. Well, you're going to be very minimally cautious, if not prepared for something else, because there may be a real danger there, as I discussed a few days ago. That put aside, we want to concentrate on the events going on inside of our body. And you want to interpret them in the way that is going to be directed towards security. Again, we've eliminated that there's nothing physically wrong. That has to be done by a physician, or physicians plural. And we're talking about nervous symptoms anyway. Or I should say exclusively. And so you have to understand that an observation will always lead to some type of conclusion, an interpretation. As I just gave you an example of having some chest pain that I knew to be muscular because I get them. If I do heavy power squats, my legs hurt. If I do deadlifts, my lower back may bother me for a little bit. But you have a habit of interpreting the sensations in your body with the idea of danger. That leads to panic, that leads to more anxiety. It could even lead in some cases, and you may be one of them, to hysteria. I mean, people show up at the emergency room and they're hysterical over a sensation going on in their body that they have now made an interpretation and a diagnosis of their own. So let me just say this briefly. Never diagnose yourself. If you're not satisfied with the diagnosis given to you by a physician, wherever he or she may have been, emergency room, family doctor, whoever, if you're not satisfied with that, get a second opinion. Change doctors. I mean, you're allowed to do that. But if you trust your physician, and you've been clear that we can't find anything wrong with you, let's say your heart, you have to interpret palpitations and different things. You have to interpret it that you're safe. Remember our principle here, number 2? If I'm safe, I cannot be in danger. We apply that to our relationship with Christ. However, on the same hand, we must also apply that logically. If there's nothing wrong with your heart, I've had, just like you, palpitations, irregular heartbeats, arrhythmias. I've had them. And I had myself checked out. A couple of years ago I was having premature ventricular contractions. I thought, surely there's something really, really wrong with my heart. And I am a cardiac patient. I was checked out by 2 different cardiologists, and they said, your heart's fine. Once I knew that, then I knew how to interpret the palpitations as just simply coming from my nervous system. I also knew, which I'm going to be teaching you as well, how to decompress myself, how to de-stress myself, take the pressure off my nervous system, and they went away. It took a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but they went away. What I did is when I had these palpitations, I just ignored them. I just said, I've already been checked out. There's nothing wrong with my heart. Blow it off. The interpretation I made after being checked out was that I'm safe. And if I'm safe, I can't be in danger. So the idea is this. When you make an observation of what's going on inside your body, whatever it may be, and you've been cleared medically so that you know there's nothing physically wrong, although the nervous system is physical, you have to be careful of how you interpret the events, and at all costs, you must interpret your events going on inside your body in terms of safety. And once you do that, and security, and once you do that, then your body starts to relax. You have done a great service for yourself, to yourself, that you're going to mitigate this symptom, if not make it disappear altogether anyway, because you're relaxed. All right? So today I wanted you to understand the difference between, or the relationship between an observation and in interpretation. Just make sure that you're interpreting your sensations and so on. And life in general, for us who believe in Jesus Christ, as the fact that it's all working together for good. Romans 8:28, if you're not familiar with the verse, look it up. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God and to those who are the called according to his purpose. So let me pray for you today. Father, I pray for my friends and ask you to deliver them from all their fears, Psalm 34:4. I ask you to touch them and strengthen them, heal them in spirit, soul, and body. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, I hope this little teaching helped you. If you're new to the channel, you just stumbled upon us somehow and you want to be part of this course that I'm teaching, please, by all means, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button. I would appreciate a thumbs up from those of you who do watch. And don't forget to download this from the website, Pastor Ray Barnett, Time for Truth Ministries, Mental Health tab. Download this for yourself. 12 Principles of Renewed. That's our syllabus for what we're doing here online. All right. God willing, today's Friday, so I won't be with you until Monday. So it'll be a couple days before I do another Oasis broadcast. But God willing, I'll be with you here on Monday. And always remember, no matter what is going on in your life, always let the peace of God rule in your heart. God bless you. See you next time.